the National Police Commissioner Masemola is upbeat about efforts to combat crime in the country. He says the results can be seen while manning roadblocks in Kempton Park. Masemola outlined some of the successes achieved under Operation Shanyela, where thousands of wanted suspects have been taken off the streets. Deputy National Commissioner Shadrack Sibiya joins us now for more on this crime blitz. Lieutenant General, thank you so much for making time for us. Speak to us about some of the successes that the police have made now, specifically when it comes to the anti-kidnapping unit.
Well, when it comes to the anti-kidnapping unit, we've really made some good strides, in a sense that in most of our kidnappings, we've arrested our suspects, and then we've managed to actually rescue the hostage, the people that were taken hostage.
Yeah, and from these arrests and these cases, what trends are you picking up? What is it that you can share with the public now with regards to kidnapping in the country, which has been raised as a major concern as well?
Yes, remember that most of the people that are involved here, you find that we are dealing here with a transnational organized crime. You will find that it is mostly people that are from outside the country, like in the recent one, the one that we've been dealing with. And I'll give you a practical examples of the ones that we've been dealing with recently, where you find that in Limpopo, we've arrested 5 suspects there, and with foreign nationals as well. 2 Mexicans involved in the clandestine laboratory, where we dismantled this laboratory worth of over 2 billion. And when you look at the Western Cape as well, we've arrested also how many? We've arrested here for the suspect that were involved for the drugs worth of 252 million rand. And then you find that there are foreigners also involved. When you look at the latest one where we arrested, where we rescued the Indian male, who is a lawyer by profession, we arrested up to 6 suspects who are Tanzanians and one only from South Africa. So you will realize that mostly it is perpetrated by the foreigners.
Mostly perpetrated by the foreigners on South African soil. How's that happening? How are they coming through?
Well, we do have porous borders. We also have a number of them here that are unemployed. And what happens is that with our operations that we launch, we find that the people that we arrest mostly, they are indeed foreigners. And when we interview them, you see that this is just part of transnational organized crime that is taking place in the country.
Yeah, but I would think that when it comes to kidnapping and also the planning that would go into it, the premeditated nature of a kidnapping would certainly mean that these people have access to some level of intelligence or equipment that they are using, but they're not doing it alone. There must be people that are assisting them in carrying out these crimes.
What they do, they just go out and identify soft targets, the business people that where they know that should they kidnap this one, money will be paid quickly and they will be able to make quick cash. That's what they do normally. And so they mostly will focus on your easy target. They don't just go for anybody. They know where they go, where they know that this one is a business person and they will get a substantial amount of money.
Mm-hmm. Like, for instance, with the recent case where there was a businessman who was rescued following the drug bust as well in 4 ways. Would we say that that was an easy target?
He was an easy target because, remember, they went to fetch him at church. He went to a mosque, he went to pray, and they went there in church and accosted him there and kidnapped him.
Yeah.
He's not armed, he's in church, and then he was alone there, and they just kidnapped him.
Yeah, so they must have singled that individual out.
They did, because they would follow you for quite some time to check your movement and then make sure that you are where you are now isolated and they can pounce on you.
Okay. Speak to us then also, General, about Lieutenant General, when it comes to the conviction of these cases of kidnapping, are you finding it that it's much easier now to make sure that there is a conviction? I remember the point that was raised by the previous Minister of Police was the issue around once you have made these arrests, and of course the suspects are deemed innocent until proven guilty, they appear before a court of law and they do have the option of bail, is that sometimes they are released on bail. Is that still a problem for the police? And are you able to secure convictions through the NPA?
We are able to secure convictions. I can give you a number of convictions that we have. Just for the period of the 1st of April 2023 and up to the 31st of March 2024, I can tell you now when it talks about life sentences that we've had up to 611 people who have been sentenced to life imprisonment. And those that have been sentenced to 20 years and longer, we've got the number of suspects of that were sentenced is 1,099. And those that have been sentenced to 10 years, up to 19 years, we've got a number of suspects up to 4,170. So these are the people that have been sentenced. And mostly those are sentenced to 5 years, between 5 years and 9 years. We have 6,310. These are the suspects that are sentenced. So the conviction is not really a problem. We are moving on convictions. The prisons are full. The courts are full. We are working as the police, as the South African Police Service. We do arrest people, and that is why you see that there's impact in courts and in prison.
Yeah. Speak to us then also about some of the drug busts that we have seen. You've mentioned the one in the Western Cape. There was one, the 2 billion rand lab with 2 billion rand in Limpopo, and now this bust as well in Fourways.
All right. Mpumalanga has also registered a number of successes in relation to this major drug busts. And between May and June this year, 4 million worth of crystal meth was also seized in different parts of Mpumalanga, in Nelspruit especially and Komati Port. We also have destroyed the large quantities of drugs worth of 2 billion in the past 12 months. This includes cocaine, crystal meth, and your unregistered medicine. Through Operation Chanela, 21,161 criminals were arrested for dealing in drugs, while 64,351 were arrested for possession of drugs alone.
Okay, I want to quickly move on to another conversation, Lieutenant General, and I don't know whether the police management has reflected on this. And that is the strategy that has been employed by the KwaZulu-Natal police, the so-called shoot to kill. Is there discussion that's happening amongst the senior management of SAPS whether this is the right strategy, considering that you also have human rights organizations that have raised concerns?
No. I don't think it is correct to put it like that and say that maybe it is a strategy of shoot to kill. No, it's not like that. Remember that in most cases, the community want to know where was the intelligence. Now, the intelligence is hard at work providing information where we identify these people long before they go and commit the offenses. When we go where we know that they are now gathering, they are planning to go and hit the next cash in transit, and the police go there to confront the situation. These are the people who will actually go out and make sure that they shoot at the police, and the police respond to the fire. And even the law permits for the police to use violence proportionate to the level of violence that is being to the level of violence directed at them at that point in time. So the police are actually responding to the fire. Now, I can tell you this weekend alone, we'll be burying some of the police officials that died in the hands of the criminals. Now, if the police get killed, the community sometimes will question and say, but why are they not so trained? Even the media will question and say they are not trained. But when we send competent teams that are able to meet this level of force and they overpower the criminals, it gets considered as like shoot to kill. No, that is not the case, because even when you look at all the scenes where we arrest these people, you find that there are AK-47 rifles and R5 rifles, heavy machinery. So the police respond to the fire that is directed at them. So it is not a shoot-to-kill process.
Yeah. Does this then mean that KwaZulu-Natal has the most violent crime, or in terms of retaliation of the police when they're trying to enforce the law, compared to any other province? Because most of the cases that we are reporting on are cases coming out of KwaZulu-Natal.
No, we have had the past week we had in Eastern Cape.
Sure.
If you remember, in Limpopo, we have had where 20 were killed in Limpopo. So it happens everywhere where
but with Limpopo, you have to think as far back as then, whereas with the KwaZulu-Natal, we can just think this week, we can think the week before, and even the week before that as well. So there seems to be that particular difference. So what's the assessment of the police about what is happening in KwaZulu-Natal compared to what's happening in other provinces?
What I know is that when you look at the number of firearms that were seized throughout the whole country, 40% of the firearms are from KZN. And mostly when you find, when you look at the suspects that are arrested in most cash in transit and most robberies, you find that most of the criminals that are involved in such, including the hits, mostly are from KZN. So KZN is vulnerable when it comes to the people. It is closer to other like countries like Mozambique and others. So you will find that you have a challenge in KZN, mostly also with self-made firearms. So that is unfortunate that it is in KZN, but you also have to put the type of police that will be able to take the challenge, such a challenge.
Yeah. Why is it? Why do you think that KZN is so vulnerable?
Well, like I said before, Eldrin, that firstly, it is not far from Mozambique. It is not far from other provinces where you find that they mostly find themselves in that space, like your Inanda, where you find that when you go there, there are so many AK-47s that you find there. Now, ask yourself a question and say, why, when we talk about the people that are involved in the hits, mostly when someone is looking for a hitman, you'll find them in that part of the world. So all I can say is that you will find a lot of rifles in that space. The same will apply in the Eastern Cape and in Gauteng as well.
Yeah. So
but they do operate within the law as far as we are concerned, the way we see, because in each and every scene of crime, you will find that there are rifles and there was a shootout. Even if you were to go for the testing, you will find that there was a shootout and those people were shooting at police.
So what's the police's strategy then to deal with that particular element if you have, as you say, that sometimes when somebody wants to hire a hitman, they get to hire them out of KwaZulu-Natal. What's your strategy going forward? Because it seems as though KwaZulu-Natal, according to your assessment, is actually a breeding ground for hits.
Well, we've strengthened our intelligence structures. We have strengthened our intelligence structures. We have flashed in more resources, boots on the ground to make sure that we prevent crime before it happens. But our intelligence are hard work in that part of the world. That is why you will even see in most of like your big events, major events, you'll find that there's no crime committed there because of our involvement and making sure that we deploy the right forces there on the ground to be able to prevent this crime and combating this crime from happening.
Thank you so much for your time. That is Lieutenant General there, Shadrack Sibiya, who's the Deputy National Police Commissioner, speaking to us about Operation Shanyele and some of the strides that they've made, and also that major concern coming out of KwaZulu-Natal, where the police there have been accused of employing a strategy of shoot to kill.